Welcome to another episode of the Friday Feature Artist Series. I'm Angela Truscott, founder of Take Two, and I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we record this interview. I really hope you're enjoying these conversations, so please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you feel compelled, why not leave us a review so we can keep sharing these stories far and wide. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Jacki Barklie, an artist whose work is as bold and textured as the stories behind it. Jacki is a visual artist based in Tauranga, New Zealand, whose practice moves fluidly between painting, textiles and sculpture. Her large-scale works, often painted on antique linen and building paper, are layered with shellac, mud, wax and meaning. They breathe, quite literally, unfixed, unframed and full of movement. After 37 years as a hairdresser, Jacki followed the call to immerse herself in art, completing a creative industries degree in her 50s. That decision transformed not only her career, but her understanding of herself as an artist. In our conversation, Jacki shares how her upbringing in Africa shaped her love of colour and curiosity, while she'll always consider herself an emerging artist, and how her exhibition, Surface Tension, reflects the quiet strength found in resistance, texture and time. We also talk about collaboration, the joy of making with what you have, and the courage it takes to keep experimenting, no matter where you are in your creative journey. So, if you're in your studio, on a walk, on the couch, or simply in need of inspiration to take a creative risk, settle in. You're going to love this conversation with the brilliant and generous Jacki Barklie. Welcome, Jacki. It's so good to be here with you.
Thank you, Angela. It's wonderful to be here. I'm a massive fan of fibre art Take Two.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. I just wanted to say that your work's amazing, and thank you to our mutual friend Debs White, who introduced me to your work. And I can hey Debs, absolutely can see why she's fallen in love with your work, and why many of us now getting to see it maybe for the first time will get to as well. So just quickly, I wanted to welcome everyone who's watching on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course in podcast format. We're going to share a lot of images today of Jacki's work, and we'll put them in the show notes for you. But we'll also, as we're going through Jacki's work, we'll try and describe them for you in a way that is still fascinating, so you can get a sense of Jacki's work and the scale of it. Jacki, amazing. I can't wait to get started.
Great. Me too. I can't wait to share and experience.
Yeah. Can you tell us, to start with, I always like to start with a bit of a background of the artist. And you grew up in Africa. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it maybe shaped your curiosity and creativity?
Well, I think if you see my work, there's a lot of African colours in it. So I feel I am quite influenced by my upbringing. But I was born in Zambia, and then I was brought up in Zimbabwe, and just a pretty regular childhood. I was quite a quiet child. I would often find myself at the bottom of the garden digging clay and making little clay ashtrays. There was a need, an intrinsic need for me to create and make. I was incredibly curious as a child, and I still am now as an adult. And I used to walk around saying, but why is this? But why is that? And my mom wasn't creative, actually, but she was just, she believed in people expressing themselves. So she would always encourage me to paint the wall in the kitchen. And at one stage, she encouraged me to paint my dad's car. And I painted flower power all over it. Needless to say, I had to spend the rest of the holidays cleaning his car. But there was always that need for me to make something. And there's a little entrepreneur in me, because I remember the time in Zimbabwe where I used to sell my clothes on the side of the road, get on my bike, cycle to the city and go to the cheapest bazaar store. It was called OK Bazaars. Buy the gariest beads, plastic beads, bring them home, use my mom's nail varnish to paint them. And I used to create little brooches that, you know, the little cherry brooches that you would clip your little caps up with, and sit back on the road and sell them. So there's always been something in me that I needed to create, and I never quite knew what to create, but art was not an option at school. In my day, it was home economics. So I decided at 16 to leave school and start hairdressing. It was the best career for me because I was getting my creative side, my bucket filled, but I would always find myself in an art school in the evening classes, Ruth Prowse School of Art, creating, making, learning, printing. There was always that, the need just to create.
Yeah, yeah. And then 37 years of hairdressing. Was that in Africa, or when did you come out to New Zealand?
I started my apprenticeship in Zimbabwe. Then when I left Zimbabwe at 22, I went to live in Cape Town and carried on hairdressing there. And I never stopped, actually. I had my kids, was back at hairdressing. So in New Zealand here, I opened up 3 or 4 hairdressing salons and continued. I loved it. I traveled the world with it. I was really fortunate to have such incredible mentors when I was early in my career. And they sponsored me to London and do a course with Vidal Sassoon. And I used to enter a lot of competitions, and it was always the avant-garde, you know, it was always the big, loud, nothing quiet about my you know, competition work, until they started putting limits on it, saying it could only be so high or so wide. Then the boundaries, I'm not good with boundaries.
Yes.
And I think that shows in my work.
Absolutely.
Maybe for the size.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that fascinating that they put boundaries on how big your hair can be.
Yes.
That's
So
great.
yeah, so it was a fantastic career. I traveled the world, but after 37 years, there was just a light bulb moment. I did used to have an easel in my hairdressing salon where I would paint, and the clients would get curious and come behind the curtain and say, "Is that for sale?" And I thought, well, gee, I must have something. And I just needed, one day, it was just all my ducks were in a row, and it was 37 years of hairdressing. And I thought, okay, what do I really want to do? You know, I think I read something that said, if you're still living your life like you are now, where will you be in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, and in 15 years' time? And I knew that I didn't want to be an old hairdresser. So it got me thinking, what do I want to be? And I've always wanted to immerse myself in art. So I looked at a lot of options, and there were diploma courses, and there were, you know, correspondent courses. And I thought, no, I want 3 years immersion. But what I definitely knew I didn't want was a fine art degree. I didn't want to just do academic essays and just learn the history of art. I wanted more. I wanted something more practical. So on my research, I'd found that the Tohoya Homai, the Polytech just down the road from me, had just started this incredible creative industries degree where you could major in visual arts, interior design, fashion design, or graphic design. So, of course, it was a no-brainer. Visual arts was for me, and I minored in photography and printmaking. Needless to say, I was the oldest student there.
I was just about to ask you. Yeah.
They did send me a pre-package saying, since you are quite a mature student, you know, maybe we need to get you to learn how the computer works and to learn how, you know, how to write essays and all the rest of it, which I did. But I'll never forget the first day that we were at uni, and there was a classroom of about 45 people, and most of them 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
And there was a sprinkling of maybe a 40-year-old and a 45-year-old, and then there was me, 53. And they said, right, guys, if you don't know who you are now, you will know who you are after 3 years. And I thought, well, 53, I've traveled quite a bit. I have to know who I am. I was so wrong. Throughout that 3 years, they made you peel back your identity. And they would say, what are your morals? What are your values? Go home and think about this, brainstorm it. And then when you've got, what they are, try and unpeel them even further and even further and even further. And part of the process was for conceptual art, because, to paint not what you see, but how you respond to something that you see. But I thought at the time, if I'd had been open to that at the age of 18, how different my world would have been. It was just an opportunity for those 18-year-olds to really get a grasp of life and where they want to be in life. And it was just, actually the best thing I ever did. I was way out of my comfort zone a lot of the times, because there was a lot of technology, a lot of photoshopping, a lot of InDesign. We had to do a lot of presentations. We had to do a lot of critiques. But it was the creative industry, and the tutors were amazing because they were all practicing artists. So they weren't just talking the talk, they were walking the walk. And they would enter incredible shows. And so it was a fantastic, fantastic degree. And I have no regret.
Do you think that the 18-year-olds in the class, in the degree, valued that same experience as what you did, like having mentors to open up their mind and dig deep, as they say, like going deeper into oneself? Do you think that they appreciated it as much as you did with your, half a life of wisdom behind you?
The unfortunate thing is I don't think so. And I don't know what is the right age to hear that. Because I looked around and I thought, what an opportunity. But often they wouldn't come to class, or they would, the opportunities were missed. There were a handful of people who had probably a deeper level. And I'm sure they've never forgotten it and will spring back to it. But I don't know what is the right age to hear that. And maybe it was the wisdom, and because you'd been there, done that. But then also reflecting that actually you don't know everything from all that wisdom. There's still so much to learn. And there's so many facets of that person that to bring those facets out is wow. You become whole.
Yeah. So did it fulfill its promise, Jackie, at the end of the 3 years? Did you come out knowing who you were and what your why was behind what you wanted to create?
Absolutely I did. I realized that for me it's, and a lot of my work is around this. It's not, if you're having a conversation or communication, it's often not what you hear. It's more what isn't said that speaks volumes to me. So I kind of look at the peripheries. I'm not impressed by, certain things that are right in your face. What impresses me more are the underlying nuances of specialty, sort of those little special poignant moments that it just goes over some people's heads. But I see those, I notice those, and I want those to be relevant in my work. It's, it's the in-between that vibrates deeper and louder and harder. I mean, it's like, we had to brainstorm and this is an old piece of paper that I had. It's the inverted images in an external world. These are things that I came across, art obscura. It's the photographs that are flipped to be inverted. It's the hint of fragility behind the bold, or the rust behind the gold. not everything is what it seems. And I like the bits that are underneath.
Yeah, that's so great. I love that. Yeah, the gold behind the rust, or the rust behind the gold. I love that. Yeah, makes perfect sense. So you took the plunge, you went to art school, you came out this amazing artist. You were transformed in 3 years. I know that, there's a lot of work that goes into this. And the work, actually, it takes me back to something you said during our test call, which was, we're always emerging artists. What did you mean by that?
If history repeats itself, most artists were famous after they died. So I've been painting and creating for over 30 years, but I'm still an emerging artist. I don't know when I'll ever lose that title. Even galleries see you as emerging. I don't know what stage they find you as a full-on qualified, I don't know. But I'm okay with that title because I'm learning all the time. I have an insatiable appetite for, I'm curious. And if I had to find one genre that I could completely specialize in, I would be bored. And maybe it's those artists who completely specialize in a particular thing and they get so damn good at it that they come out of the emerging side. But I'm always echoing from one form of expression. I'll do something there and then I'll think, oh my gosh, I have to do a series doing that because I did not expect that to happen. So they're all kind of bouncing off each other and flowing off each other. That I think I'll be emerging, and I hope I am. I mean, an emerging 90-year-old still, tweaking and pulling and exploring. And I never want to have arrived, because what do you do when you arrive?
Yes.
Do you think, okay, well, is that it? No, I'll be emerging till I'm 90. If I'm lucky
Absolutely.
to get that old.
Yeah, let's hope so, Jackie. Yeah, absolutely. I love the variety in your work as well. When I was going through your website, there was everything from abstract painting to portraiture to, obviously your large scale works. There was 3D sculpture with your vessels. Just beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is it important for you to, I mean, you mentioned that it's, you want that variety. What sort of brought you to this current body of work, which is like really large, looks like linen cloth or drop sheets that you're working on? What sort of, seems like that is where you're at?
A lot of my movement towards certain things have been, some of it's been very practical. I know when I was at uni, I was going through a stage of, I was doing tribal adornment, but I knew I wanted them to be long and narrow, and I couldn't fit a long, narrow canvas in my car. So I went to the hardware store, and I just love hardware stores because for me, even when I was hairdressing, I would find insulation pipes to perm on, or irrigation pipes to perm. So I discovered this building paper, and it's the most incredible substrate to work on. So I could just chuck the roll into my car, and then that way I transported my large pieces. And I suppose it's the same for these cloths, because whilst I try to keep things small, and the interior designers tell me, Jackie, try and stay smaller because there are no walls big enough for your work. I keep leaning towards the large scale. And fabrication, I love materiality. And with these large ones, I can roll them up, I can transport them, I can, it's not like you've got to get a truck to carry them and move them. And but the beauty of it is you asked me as well, has the scale of my studio influenced the scale of my work? And that is definitely a case. There are times when this whole floor is just lined with plastic and building paper or cloth. Oh, there you go. So the one on the right is building paper. And I think that's about 15 meters long. And that was because I was collaborating with two artists, and I decided I needed to paint an 11-meter long piece of work. And
Nice.
this is how I did it. And that's gesso. Those white shapes are gesso on the building paper.
Yeah.
And then I use shellac to burnish it, and it has an incredible effect. I think you might have some other pictures there. And the one on the left is, those are quite current photographs. Those are my body of work that I'll be exhibiting soon in October.
Yes.
But you can see the cloths around there, the material, the mixed media.
Yes. Yeah. I've got a few other images here too, Jackie, that sort of show the scale. And we're looking at a picture of Jackie standing in front of a large piece of work, and her hands are up high, and we can't even see the top of the cloth. It's really big.
Yes. So these cloths are actually painted on antique French linen, which I found in an op shop.
Wow.
And yeah, I scored, and I thought, what am I going to do? I'm not going to use these on my bed. I'm going to paint them. And so I was inspired by Venice and the patina on the architecture, and, you know, the ebb and flow of salty waters. And so these I would paint. There you could see, if you zoomed in, you could see that the paint is peeling, just like the architecture and the plaster the on the Venice walls. I was totally inspired by that. I love anything that's aged and crinkled. And I was told a few times to cut my big works up, which I did one or two. And I was so sorry that I did, because we're back to boundaries. I really do feel that the cloth needs to be able to breathe. It's like this one here at the back here. This one's a 5-meter long cloth, and you can see it's.
Oh yes, with the shreds on the bottom. Yeah, beautiful.
Shreds, which are my response, and you know, it's that framed would restrict the aesthetic far too much. It would. So I love to have them just slightly bellowing if there's a slight draft, or, you know, just flowing, and and I think that's why I use material. And the fabrication also, it's so much easier to manipulate than a structured canvas, because I think you've got pictures there of me taking them home and water blasting them. And
yes, I want to talk about these. Yeah, this process of so we're showing images of, just for those listening on podcast, we're showing images of Jackie working and actually creating her pieces, and she's standing on a table, and she's painting with the cloth draped over the table. She's got a large, looks like brush, and there's ink, and then you're water blasting your work out on the grass here, and it's so gestural, Jackie. It's like it's full body.
And I think that's part of the process, you know, is for me to immerse myself in the work, and then allowing the viewer, the audience, to have that immersion as well. And then again, that speaks to the scale of my work. So you can stand in front of it, and you need to look all around it, not just zoom in on a piece. But it is quite physical. I'm often sliding around on the floor with wet paint and barefoot. And I'm not a traditional artist where I can have an easel and be, you know, contrived at all. It's got to be flowing. It is very intuitive, but methods are also something that really I strive for. I read these old 18th century books on painters and glazer guides, and how they used to make their paint in the 1700s, and what to do to stop it from cracking, you know, and why it cracks, because it's overly pigmented. Well, actually, I want mine to crack, so I make my work overly pigmented. It's I go to bed reading these, and my husband would say, "You're not reading a how-to-do book, are you? You know, in bed." Most people read fiction, and I love how-to-do books, and usually about paint and methods and that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. You mentioned that the cracking, and you've been experimenting a little bit with wax lately.
Yes, now that's an interesting thing because I've never used wax. Well, I did batik as a kid. You know, at school you do a bit of batik, and then you know, when you're at primary school, you cover your paper with wax crayon, and then you paint it black, and then you scratch into it because you know that wax is going to resist your acrylic.
Mm.
Well, I had that in the back of my mind, but with my philosophy for this work, it actually says, you know, from the fractured rhythms of the world, I create art as a quiet act of defiance and wonder. So the wonder is the curiosity. The defiance is the shredding, the burning, the, you know, destroying, destructing, making it look patinaed. And there's a little bit of resistance there. So I sat down and I thought, okay, so how can I paint where I can resist, you know, where the methods can resist each other? And I remembered about the wax. And it just so happened that I had a friend who had a block of beeswax in his garage. And he said, "Do you want that wax?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And then I bought an electric frying pan and I thought, okay, I've got these cloths all sized up. Let me start using the wax. So I would stamp on the design with
Yes.
wax. So the cloths usually start black. I wax them up. And we all know a batik is an ancient Indonesian skill, and it's very common in the India culture as well. So it's a form of resistance. So if you put some wax down and then you bleach a piece of fabric, where the wax is, it's going to retain the initial color of the fabric. And then you can dye the fabric again, and then you wax it again, and it retains that. So that's where the resistance came in, along with the curiosity and the shredded fabric, and then trying to mend the world in my stitch work. Do you know what I mean? It's just a response, and by that response, I kind of get those key words to leverage me into my methods.
Yeah. 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 Fantastic. So the ideas, so when you're working on a new concept, you start with some research? Do the ideas and the words come first, and then the ideas and the words lead to the technique?
Yeah.
So for instance, you're researching, you're feeling the resistance, you know, okay, what can I use? Oh, resist,
Yes,
whack. And
that's
then
exactly how I do it. Yeah.
then you start experimenting. And then do you do a lot of like, do you work in a sketchbook to sketch out any of your ideas, or are you going straight onto that big, huge 17-meter canvas or paper?
Straight onto that big canvas, straight
Straight
onto
on
that
there.
big canvas. If you
Nice.
don't take risks, you know, I can't contemplate things. I wished I could keep a really tidy journal and have all these plans, but I'm a bit gung-ho, and I tear the fabric and I jump on the table and I start
I go,
doing
let's go.
stuff. And because what is the worst? It's you know, you throw it down as a rug, or you throw it away, or, you know, what is the worst? It's and unless you take risks, you don't find those exciting bits. So I'm a bit gung-ho where it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. I wanted to share a few more images of your beautiful salty water pieces for people viewing, because they're just so divine. And the color palettes change so much. I really feel Venice in this one as well.
Yeah.
Like this
Well,
is just
the inspiration was that I did not know that there are a lot of secrets in the walls of Venice. Yes, because
what
it
do you
was a
mean?
trading center. You know,
Yes.
it was also called a lagoon at one stage, and it's not all salty water. It's half fresh and half salty. But so reading that, I thought, oh my gosh, how wonderful. So let's
Yes.
draw some secrets in here, because the secrets are plastered over. It was their way of communicating to the traders, which I found very exciting. So yeah, they're all pretty different. There's another one, and you can see the blue lagoonish. It's watery, it's patinaed, it's taken home, it's water blasted. There's acrylics. It's first of all, I hand dyed these. So if you look closely, there's a technique of hand dyeing where you just drop dyes into water to get that speckled patina, almost moldy effect. And then I would work up towards the acrylic, and then I would work up, well, I would take it home actually, and then water blast the acrylic off and get left with the residue. And then I would bring it back and use oil sticks to the finer detail.
Amazing. And I'm noticing that that accompanies each piece, the large cloth that we're showing, there's also a vessel or an object, like one was a chair, a bench, and now we've got a large black vessel. Why is that important to have something of a physical 3D nature with your cloth?
Well, that's a good question. I didn't feel, because I was exhibiting these cloths, and I didn't feel that, I thought they needed more context. And I love to collaborate with other artists. So I looked around locally to see if there was a ceramicist who did large, quirky shapes. And I couldn't find anybody who did shapes as large as. So I put my thinking cap on again, and I thought, okay, salty waters, building paper, I'm going to make my own, and old pieces of art that I've shredded. I'm going to make my own vessels to scale to these large pieces of work. I had no idea how I was going to do that. Initially, I thought I would paper mache them, and then I would lose the design in the artwork. So I decided to create works of vessels from building paper, because building paper is quite resilient. It's got bitumen in it, and it's a little more waterproof than others. And I actually have one of my smaller vessels here if you want to have a look.
Oh, yeah, always.
And so that's where the vessel started. I made a 6-foot one. She sold. And I mean, that's a really interesting story, because I was in the studio that one day, and I just said, please let somebody special to come in. And I made this massive, I don't know, it's not on my website, but it was a 6-foot vessel. And at the end of the day, I think I was at it for 8 hours. And at the end of the day, you could see some of the making of it in the Instagram feeds. I looked back and I saw this woman. It was like a shape of a female form. And I said, oh my gosh, that's, I grew up on the back of a black lady in Zambia. I was on her back. You know how they carry you with the towel. And she used to hide me in the bushes when my mom got angry with me. And her name was Nori. And I looked back into the studio and I thought, that's Nori. It was just this beautiful black woman shape. And it was just so emotional. But let me, so if I show you, this is one of the vessels.
Wow.
And this is white, although it's made of black building paper, it's white.
Yes.
It's quite solid.
Yes.
It's not waterproof. And I've got copper wire around it, which I found in the dustbin somewhere, some plumber's shop. But if you look close, you see this beautiful staining on the here.
Yes.
That is what happens to building paper. The bitumen starts to leach if you put shellac on it. And it gives this most incredible patina. So this is the ebb and flow of salty waters. You can see the layers, how, the ebb and flow. but if you look closely, you can see that I've punched holes in there, and I've just leached the bitumen out, and to get that very simple, patinaed, beautiful vessel.
Does the building paper have bitumen embedded in it when you buy it, or are you putting bitumen on the paper?
No, it has, and I don't even know if it is bitumen, but it has like a tar-like, which makes it waterproof. So this is what they wrap out the framing of buildings for the environment, I suppose, to stop the water coming in. So it is slightly waterproof.
Yeah.
Quite a tough fabric.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how the vessels came about.
Ah, that's amazing. Yeah. And you've stapled them to construct them, is that right? Was it stapled?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I have, because it was too hard to stitch. It's too thick. I did try stitching them, but it was too hard. You can see the staples there, which looks like, once it's painted, it almost looks like a stitch.
Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah. And at the bottom, it's a paper plate.
Ah, perfect.
You know, those picnic plates that you have, so that's how I get my shape. And then the shape gets built around whatever the shape is at the bottom.
I love how resourceful artists are. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't need to have the biggest and the best of everything. It's like, no, we'll make do. Well, that paper plate will work for this. No, this is going to be staple. This is, you know.
That's the beautiful thing. That's why I really believe that, you know, when you don't have stuff like a car not big enough to carry big art, you improvise. You find other ways to do things. And in actual fact, they become more interesting than if everything was just there and it was just all obtainable, I feel, anyway.
Yeah. So beautiful, Jacki. Yeah. I just want to share with people, here's another image of the vessels that you were just sharing with us there. So we'll pop them up on the show notes as well, so people can see what you were sort of holding up and showing us there. They're just absolutely beautiful. Another piece of your work, I'm a bit of a mud lark myself. Love getting my hands in the mud and creating things with clay. And you did create a series called Mud Cloth. I'd love to share those with people because, you know, just really selfishly, I love mud. Yes. And I think they're beautiful. How did this mud cloth come about?
Well, this came about when I decided to, we have exhibitions here once a year, or we try to, and I connected with two ceramicists, and they were doing beautiful bonsai type shaped ceramics, and I looked at my art and I suddenly thought that my art was too twee. So there they are there in the installation area. So I decided that I needed to vibrate off their structures. And one way of doing that was to, obviously, the exhibition was called Smudge and Mud. So decided to paint with mud. And again, it was on the cloth, and I got mud, and I bleached the cloth, and then I stenciled. Do you want me to bring a piece and show you?
Yeah, sure. If you've got it close, yeah. Always love a good show and tell.
So I mean, you can see the burnt holes through it. And
wow! Yes,
the mud.
The mud stencils.
And, you know, there's all kind of mixed media in there.
Wow. We're looking at Jackie's holding up a large piece of cloth, and it's got like almost, I hate to say it, almost looks like bullet holes through it.
Yes.
And it's brown, and she's done a stenciling with mud, which has created layers of mud on the top. So it almost looks like applique of mud, but it's not. It's done through a printing process or a screen printing process. It's amazing. Yeah.
So, and then again, you can see the colors are quite African.
Yes.
It's the bush, it's the smell of dust, it's the bleached. Yeah. So that is how those bits came about. And yeah, we're definitely made for a much more unique art exhibition with that echoing each other's work.
Yeah, I love that. There's something about a good collaboration, isn't there, Jackie? It just brings out new ideas. And what do you love about it?
I think it's absolutely essential. One of the reasons why I moved into this place was that was my intention, was to do a lot of collaborations, because I really feel that art can be quite a lonely. If you're on your own all the time, how do you extend yourself? Because you don't want to become too comfortable, and that's really easy if you
Mm.
are alone. Um, so the collaboration, it just gets you brainstorming and pushes the boundaries even further. And often out of that comes options that you wouldn't think of on your own. And they don't need to be the same skilled artist. They could be somebody who's just does screen printing or something, which you thought, which you could bring into your work, or they could take out of your work the use of mud, or
Mm.
with photography or glass, or so I've created a little art group which we call the Art Hangers, and we meet once a month and we brainstorm. One is a glass artist, as we stretch each other's imagination, and hopefully all our practices just get better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Hangers, that's a great name.
Yeah.
I just a couple of things on that. You've mentioned a few times like where you are, but we haven't actually said it. So you own a large studio space, which is also a gallery and exhibition space that you
it's it's
use
it's
for.
a it's a warehouse in the industrial areas, and that's why you can hear the trucks.
Yeah,
So it's oh, there it is. So it's
yeah.
not the whole building, it's only the one part of that. There are 3 units in that building. I have the one unit.
Hmm.
And it's where I practice my art, but I try very hard to keep it looking like an art gallery, uh,
Mm,
without it's a working art studio. So
yeah,
I have people come in here, interior designers who bring their clients, and they say, well, we're looking for a piece of black work because we have a dresser this big. Let's see if Jackie's got something, because her work is so varied. Um,
yeah.
so that's that's how I operate. Is I'm just loud music, often in the back. The door will ring and somebody will come in, or if they arrange it, I might have a glass of bubbles for them at the door. But it creates an art viewing experience.
Yeah, yeah. And what a privilege to walk into someone's working studio as well. Whenever I get that opportunity, I don't take it lightly. I'm like, this is like a sacred place to many artists, and it's the place where their insides are coming out, if that makes sense. So I
Yes,
always hold it with a lot of reverence when I walk into someone's studio and feel like it's a special invitation to be invited.
yes.
Mm.
I mean, you do have to be thick-skinned as an artist, because
Mm.
I at one exhibition I had, it was called Back to Black, and all my work was cut black linen, and so everything was black. And we had the exhibition, and I only served black food. I burnt aniseed oil. I wanted the whole sensory thing. That's my ideal. I want people to walk in and smell the aniseed, and then you know, eat black licorice with their black label whiskey. And, so I try to create quite a strong sensory experience. And I did have a man who came in here, and he just walked in and walked out and said, if it was white, I would have bought something. so, so you have to be so thick skinned.
Yeah.
Our work
Exactly.
is not going to be understood by everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We say we'll come back another day, maybe there'll be something white,
Yeah,
who knows?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to ask you, Jackie, about a few practicalities of like working so large. How important is it for you the hanging system? How important is the hanging system for your work? And is that a consideration in the design of the work, or do you tend to stick to the same sort of rod and pocket type feel? How do you tackle hanging such large work?
No, I do the piece first, and then I tell my husband we've got to work to have a working bee on the weekend and find a solution.
Yeah.
The poor guy, and we always do. We find, we find like the concrete reinforcement grids. They're great for hanging artwork up on concrete walls. I did a bit of research when I opened to find what galleries' hanging systems were, and but it's I have a scaffold and I'm up and down. It keeps me fit, and yeah, I haven't done nearly enough installations in this place because it lends itself to so much big genre stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was looking at some images of your recent work. I think you posted a beautiful video on your Instagram, and it was this piece here where you were attaching this binding to one of your new pieces for your upcoming
Yeah,
exhibition, and it was just
yeah.
beautiful. You were mentioning it was a Japanese technique.
It is a Japanese technique. It is an ancient Japanese technique. It's called hyogu. I don't know how to pronounce that, hyogu. And
Mm.
it's the art of allowing a cloth to breathe. So it's hand stitched over, these are stained Rimu slats of wood, which have been matched to fit with the art. And I'm using a brown waxed silk thread, and which is what I've used through all my stitching throughout this series. And I struggled initially. I thought, well, actually, to be honest with you, I did the work first, and then I had to think, how are these going to best be hung? And went back into my research because the ancient philosophy of Japanese, the wabi-sabi, the imperfections, I had to go and check out how they would hang this type of work. And this is what I found it's centuries old. And it's really just elevated these bits to the next level. I
Yeah.
can't imagine these bits in a structure of, a canvas structure, or it's just worked quite well. It's been a lot of work. I didn't intend to be stitching for as long as I have, but because the stitch work was in the actual piece of art, it was a no-brainer just to keep it within the framing of the art.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you've been working on this exhibition called Surface Tension. When can people see it? When are you releasing it to the world? And I want to show we've got a sneak preview of one of your pieces. I'm going to pop that up now.
Yes. So this exhibition is on the 24th of October, is the opening night, and it'll be running for 10 days after that, 10 consecutive days. Between 11 and 3, and it's in my studio, back studio, which is in Tauranga, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 9 large pieces,
Wow.
one very large piece, which is 5 meters long. And I think it'll be an exhibition with a difference.
Yeah. How so?
I've really enjoyed this work. It's not normal to my usual stuff, but for some reason I was called to do textiles, and it's again, it's I want it to breathe. I love that sort of natural look of art hanging on the wall, and with natural stone and clay, and so that's the next thing.
I love that, Jacki.
Mm.
If someone was feeling nervous about trying to be more experimental in their work, or they're a bit scared of making mistakes, what advice would you give them in terms of cultivating some more curiosity in their own practice?
Well, I recommend they come to my art workshop, because that's exactly what we cover. I teach people to take risks, large risks. So the whole place is covered in plastic, and we respond. I really, truly believe that not to paint what you see, but to respond, paint what you respond. So if you see a flower, if you paint the pretty flower, yes, it's going to look lovely and stuff, but if you feel that flower, and even if you just threw a pot of paint against your canvas to create a shape, that flower is going to be far more intriguing than what you see. So it's definitely, I try to get people to respond to what they're seeing. And it doesn't have to be what they're seeing. Take risks and not to strive for perfection. And what is the worst? First of all, I think always if you're painting on a white canvas, throw something at it so that you get rid of that white, because that white is so intimidating. And then start working, because no matter what layer you put on it, it's going to make that piece of art far more interesting and exciting. So yeah, if you're afraid, what's the worst that can happen? You can just paint the piece white again and start all over. You have to have that mentality, I think. In order for me to stretch my boundaries, I don't think about it too much, and often I paint over things, but there's a little piece that I retain, and then that little piece will speak to the rest of the work. So take risks. We have a great time here with our workshops. I don't do them often because if my work is large and I need the floor space, I can't I can't get those workshops happening as often as they do. But when we do have them, we have so much fun because, it's quite an emotional thing. I have people like architects who draw straight lines all the time, and they come here and I say, close your eyes, draw with the other hand. You've stopped trying to be perfect. And they have a bit of breakdown because they have to be so perfect in their jobs. I was also doing a lot of free workshops there's a company here called Blue Light, and it's for wayward kids.
Yeah, right.
These kids all have some kind of prison background. And for me, I approached them and said, can we do a few sessions of art in our, art workshops for free? Because if I could teach these kids to learn that there's another way of expressing yourself, tear a piece of paper, just pour stuff on it, and rather than going rob a shop or, just if there's a way to just show them that there are other ways. So I've had a few of those workshops here in my studio as well, which have been fantastic.
Fantastic. What a beautiful way to share your skills and your knowledge and your wisdom with people, Jacki. Good on you.
So much fun. It's so I learn so much from these people too. It's so much fun. Honestly, I get inspired by their approaches. They're tentative, there's fragility in that something, and then we blow up, and it's just so exhilarating.
Oh, amazing. Well, if I ever find myself in your neck of the woods, I'm going to make sure it aligns with one of your workshops.
Oh, you have to. It would be lovely to meet you here.
Yeah, it would be so great. It would be so great. I know Deb's, it's definitely on her list as well. Maybe we can come and have a little, we can have a play in the studio. We'll get messy.
Be lovely.
Jacki, it's been so beautiful talking to you and learning about your work. We're going to put links to Jacki's Instagram and website and her studio called Back Studios in the show notes and in the descriptions below. So please give Jacki a like, follow her along on Instagram. We're all battling our way through the tech, so it's great to see your vulnerability on there too, Jacki, and, with our newsletters and, websites and everything that an artist has to juggle in life. So good on you. I think that you're so brave. So good on you. And thank you so much. Not at all.
It's been a dream come true. I mean, I'm such a big fan of you guys, and it's such a privilege to be on here. So I really thank you so much.
Oh, Jacki, you've given everybody so much. You've been so generous with your knowledge and your tips and your techniques and your wisdom. We do like to end with another little segment, though, if you're up for a bit of a... Yes.
Yes.
We've given Jacki the heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just because I think that you'll be brilliant at this. So every artist must is our closing segment. So I've got a few questions for Jacki here. Jacki, every artist must believe
in their own rhythm.
Every artist must avoid
comparing yourself with other artists.
It's a good one. Every artist must create
with courage, take risks.
Yeah. Every artist must learn
that failure makes you a better artist. Keep failing, because out of those failures, you're going to just grow and create something amazing.
I love that. Yeah. And every artist must remember.
Well, we've touched on that, and I think we must all remember that not everybody's going to understand our art. And there will be those that resonate with your work. Just keep doing what you're doing, keep doing what thrills you, and it won't be everybody's cup of tea, but certainly somebody will find you.
I love that. We can't be everybody's cup of tea, but when you find the people that love your work, it's like being someone's like hot, strong espresso.
Yes. Because we can tend to try and make ourselves a little more generic to fit in. And I think that's the biggest mistake. Stick to your own rhythm. That's where your authenticity lies.
Yeah. And finally, like for all emerging artists, who hopefully every artist is still emerging, because that's where the beauty is, who are still trying to find their voice, like what would you say, what advice would you give them about staying true to their process and discovering their why?
Is unpeel their identity. Sit down, brainstorm. What is important to you? Is it family? Is it honesty? Is it sincerity? Is it what are your values? What are your morals? And keep peeling them back. Keep peeling them back, because I truly believe that if you don't do that, you won't find a thread in your work. That is what keeps the thread going. When I first started painting years and years ago, I just painted flowers, and then I got writer's block because I hadn't worked on my identity. Now, if I go back to painting flowers, they're going to have my identity in them. So they're going to be very different flowers. I just think you avoid writer's block if you've unpeeled and been honest with yourself. What is your essence, and what do you want to say with your work? It's your voice, and it's an extension of your voice.
Yeah. It's so true, Jacki. Yeah. We actually have a masterclass with a lady called Donna Watson, and it's called Essence of Identity. And it's literally that. It's a whole workshop just on taking people through the layers of their identity to unpick who they are, to then bring that out in a visual format. And it's very popular, and we run it once a year, and it's sort of like it's a guided thing with Donna, and we release it module by module, so people can work through a lot of these exercises, and we do it through a shared Facebook group. There's the transformations that happen over that sort of it's an 8-week period to 10-week period, but people have the exercises for life and the course for life. It's when people
Sounds
do
like
the work. Yeah, when you've been talking about it. Yeah. Well,
it's not easy to take those steps on your own. It's quite good to have a bit of guidance, and for somebody to say, but why do you feel it? No, you can't say just because I do. No, there's a reason, and it's really hard to peel back those layers. So I think that must be an amazing course.
Yeah, it really is, Jacki. Yeah. Jacki, thank you so much. I have loved every second of talking with you, and I can't wait to follow along with your journey and see Surface Tension come up online on the 24th of October. So
lovely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything, and it's lovely to do this for everybody.
Thanks,
I'm
Jackie.
thrilled. I can't believe the hour's gone.
I know, it flies by, doesn't it? Yeah,
Flies by.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did great. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
See you
I'll
next
see you
time.
soon. I'll watch
See
you
you
online
soon.
again soon. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Bye.